we got about 11 people. We're doing great. And this is recording tape?
So it is now recording and it is live on Facebook right now.
Okay, we're on. We're in a little box on Facebook. It's so cute.
Yeah.
People are going to watch us there. Well, shall we begin?
With introductions? Yeah.
Yes, and I have a new exciting idea for introductions. Why don't we try to make the introductions kind of zip through those a little quicker? That way we can have more conversation. And here's, I'll go get the script. Ahem, I worked hard on this. There's 4 quick questions that you can do in 20 seconds or less. Your name, your city, how long have you been reading Seth, and why do you love Seth? And you can do this in 20 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever. I'll show you how. Hi, hold on.
It's already longer than 20 seconds.
Just the instructions. So I'm going to time this to see if I can do it too. Ready, set, go. Okay, my name is Oshara. I'm in Elmira, New York. I've been reading Seth since I was 21, so almost 40 years. I'm 60 now. And why do I love Seth? Seth changed my life. I think Seth's information is the absolute truth. And if everyone had Seth, I'm sorry, that's 20 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe you can do 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll go next. I'm Pete, and I'm also from Elmira, New York, right here at the Seth House. And I've been studying Seth for about 3.5 years. And why do I love Seth? Because it seems to be the absolute truth, and it rings true to me. And I've used his material to have healings, and I just love it.
Woo! Perfect. Oh my God, perfect score. Okay, I won't look at the clock for you guys. This was just our own thing, but do it your way. Who wants to go next?
I will, because I kind of skipped last week. My name is Ned Johnson. I've been reading Seth since 1974. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and the reasons that I love Seth are 3 of them. First of all, as Kate said, it just has that ring of truth. It's self-validating. Secondly, he covers everything. And thirdly, I have yet to find a contradiction after 46 years. That's impressive. In fact, it's unique.
That's good. Beautiful. Yeah.
I am Gabriel. I read Seth till 1987. I live in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I love Seth. It's the best material I read ever. And really, I am trying to apply it in my life as much as possible. Yeah.
Thank you. Far out. Who's next?
Okay, I'll go. I'm Kathleen. I'm in Greenfield, Indiana, which is just east of Indianapolis in the USA. I was introduced to Seth on December 3rd, 2014. And the reason I love Seth is he opened doors to other realities for me.
All right. Good stuff.
That's just fun.
And I broke the sound.
John. Thank you, Kathleen.
I'll go.
Audrey.
Hi, my name is Audrey. I'm a New Yorker living in Rhode Island. I read Seth in the mid-70s. He's the only one that rang true to me, and he's opened up my reality.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who's next?
I'm Chris from Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. And I started reading Seth about 2010. A friend recommended it to me. And I started with Seth Speaks. And it was just in the first pages when Seth was speaking that it just rang true to me too. I mean, it was just this feeling of like, I know this somehow, or it just resonated somewhere within me that was like, this makes sense to me. So,
Good job.
and there's a lot of stuff there to read too. So,
No matter how many.
I'm Regina, and I live in Woodstock, New York. I read Nature Personal Reality in 1982, and I've probably thought about Seth works every day since. It's just been one of the most profound influences in my life.
Well, I'll go ahead. My name is Sean, and I live in Linwood, California. I've been reading the Seth material for about 20 years. I read everything that Jane Roberts wrote, and the most important thing, the reason that I started reading it was I first came across the Seth material from reading a book by Michael Talbot called The Holographic Universe. Yeah. That's where I first heard about Seth. And I picked up a book, and I never stopped reading after that. I think the most important thing about the Seth material for me is that it was completely transformative. I never felt the same after I read it, and I felt expanded as a result of having read it.
Thank you. Exquisite. Yeah. Is that everybody?
No, we haven't heard from Dea or Charlie.
Charlie looks.
He looks missing. Yes, but Dea.
All right, I'll
We
go.
did that last week too.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dea. I'm a Canadian living in Bahrain for the last 8.5 years. But in the Middle East for about 10 years. I heard about Seth, or I started reading Seth in the 90s, but on and off. I put it aside for a while, but then I came back to it. And I can't quite explain it. Everything just resonates with me. I live and breathe Seth. I apply it in my life every day.
no, I'm not. I'm just saying whenever you want to go.
That's my life. So I just love it. That's it. Great.
Okay. So there we are. There's all of us. And I think all of us have been here at least once before, I think. Mm-hmm. And when Charles comes back, we'll give him his 20 seconds of fame. And what would we like to talk about? I don't think we need to do a tour of the house right this second. Would you want to? Yeah, let's go right into talking. So how are your lives, guys? What's going on in your life? You're all looking good and healthy. Has anybody got a Seth experience or a Seth insight they'd like to share? Or these times we're living in, some wisdom that they want to put the word out about? So
I feel pretty lucky. We just sent 140 ventilators to New York, which means we've got ventilators to burn, so to speak. The hospitals in Portland and Oregon, I guess, have announced that if the curve follows its current shape, we're not going to run out of anything except patience. So I feel pretty good about that.
Patience. Okay.
Well, it's patience with a T, not patience with a C.
Oh.
I'm already out of the other kind.
So yes, we're hearing some good reports about the possibilities of the current situation, and I think reading Seth, everybody's going to create exactly the reality they need from this experience that they want to encounter. So just choose for yourself what you want this to mean to you. Time to sequester and go within, or to be a hero. Like just yesterday, the day before, our landlord came by, the owner of the building, and we had a nice long talk. And he and his family are doing heroic things. I mean, his parents were missionaries, and they're volunteering to go out there to do things to help different communities. He's in his line of work, he deals with, as it just happened to be of cleaning products. So he is like all over Elmira helping to, you know, get Clorox to all the places that want it. So, you know, and when he left the room, Kate was saying his aura is huge. He felt like he was being heroic and helping, and everybody's stepping up, and that's what he lives for. He used to be a Marine too, so he was like, yeah, I'm active, I'm doing things, I'm helping, I'm service, spiritual service and everything. Kate and I feel more like let's be quiet, stay home, go within, do our spiritual practices. So, and it seems like everybody's finding their way of here's what's happening globally, how we choose to utilize this in our personal lives. Anybody who feels like just chiming in about how they've made this time meaningful for you personally, how you bring meaning and even passion and purpose or spiritual communion to these times. Let's have the success stories. How's it going?
I will chime in. I am I'm observing people forgetting to hate, which is something I've been able to observe before. After 9/11, people forgot to hate.
Wow. Yeah, go on, that's beautiful.
That's what I'm seeing, and that's what it makes me cry. But then, and you know, people are being their normal selves, but that's what I'm seeing. Is I'm just seeing a lot of love and a lot of care. I've had people reach out to me. Where I am, I feel so fortunate because I'm on a fixed income, which at this moment, that's a good thing to be able to say. I have personally manifested the biggest thing in my life since I had children, and that is I purchased
Oops, we're losing you, Kathleen.
Okay, you purchased a what? We lost a little sound.
I know what it is. It's a camper.
Kate can translate telepathically. You got yourself a camper. Is that right, Kate?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, all right. Congratulations.
Now all I need is a vehicle to tow it with, which I'm manifesting that. I'm listening to my inner voices, and I probably have already found a car that won't be ready until I have money. So.
But it's on the way. Good.
Yep, everything is.
Yeah,
congratulations.
I wanted, I don't know if it's what you're asking about, but I've been spending time thinking about our personal responsibility for world conditions, because everything in the Seth books suggests that we have that responsibility. So I wanted to read, it's not a long passage, but it comes out of session 580 in the Seth Speaks book. Do you mind if I read it?
Fantastic. I'm just going to close the shade a little bit because it's kind of blinding, but yes, please do. We're all about reading Seth.
Well, what it says, Rob has been asking him questions. And this question, he calls it number 21. Rob is so particular. And he says, how do you account for the pain and suffering in the world? And Seth gives a long answer, so I'm just reading a small part of it. Illness, and this is from Seth, illness and suffering are not thrust upon you by God, or by all that is, or by an outside agency. They are byproducts of the learning process, created by you, in themselves quite neutral. On the other hand, your existence itself, the reality and nature of your planet, The whole existence in which you have these experiences are also created by you using the abilities of which I have spoken. Illness and suffering are the result of the misdirection of creative energy. They are part of the creative force, however. They do not come from a different source, say, than health and vitality. Suffering is not good for the soul unless it teaches you how to stop suffering. That is its purpose. Within your particular plane of activity and speaking practically, no one fully or completely can use all the energy available to them. The inner identity is the blueprint, however, against which you judge ultimately your physical actions. I thought that was wonderful. Did you hear it?
Chapter and verse, Seth. Right down the middle of the fairway.
So I'm just thinking about our personal responsibility, because when people enter into fear, it's an unconscious state. It's not a realized awareness of how we contribute to it. And my feeling is, and Steph says this in other places, we're meant to raise the frequency of the earth, of the planet. And we don't do that when we enter negative beliefs and thoughts. If we state them out loud, if we feel them, we're doing no service to humanity or to the planet. So that we're meant to raise and increase that frequency every moment.
You know, somebody posted a meme to our Facebook page that was beautiful and echoes what you're saying. It was just, we don't want to go, people are saying, you know, getting back to normal. We don't want to go back to normal if we just lost the lesson of this experience. We want to improve whatever we thought normal was and take it to a higher level. That's what the gift of this, the challenge of this is.
Exactly.
You know, when I was listening to you talk and read that piece, Regina, a thought passed through my mind is an old saying, the best thing you can do for the poor is not be one of them. And I just reinterpreted that the best thing you can do for the sick people is not be one of them.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
That's what I'm doing, best I can.
That's right. Yeah, me too.
So far, so good.
All of us, I think. Yeah. Me personally, I'm just amazed and awestruck and horrified that I helped to create this situation that I'm living in. We all did. We all have a part to play in this. And we're not just victims, we're co-creators. And I can't for the life of me figure out, why would we do such a thing? You know, why would we do such a horrible, horrible thing?
You must not have read the post that I sent a couple of days ago about why.
Well, I
know that there's a reason for it. And
well, I'd like to respond to you, Sean. It's like, not all challenges are a bad thing, especially something like this. There's such a huge potential. So just because something bad befalls us, I wouldn't use, like you said, you know, why would we create like it's a bad thing? And it's like, it's a challenge. And
yes, that's for sure.
Here for these challenges. It doesn't mean we made a mistake that we're encountering a challenge. It's like, I'm here for this too. You know, bring it to me, let me find out how I respond. And how I take the creativity in this moment to make something beautiful come of it. So it's like, I don't think anybody did anything wrong, per se, to make something like this happen. I think everything's an opportunity and a gift to grow and get something out of.
Well, I don't know really.
Fault, Sean. I just want to clear that up. Unless anybody else knows something I don't know, I don't think it's her fault.
No, but I think what Sean is saying. Sorry, I'm just going to say real quick, and let Sean go on. I think what she's saying is accurate in terms of that reading I just gave where Seth speaks about the misdirection of energy. We are responsible insofar as we are not aware of what we're doing. Therefore, we're not necessarily, it's not a matter of being in control of situations. It's a matter of simply recognizing, yes, here we are. This is our job. Our job is to make it better. And if we're not aware of that, then we are misdirecting our energy in ways that could result in something negative. Negative, you see that in our human form, obviously not negative in the massive form all that is and universal energy. But here and now, in the human form, we are meant to raise our awareness to a level, just what Sean said, whereby we do not enter that state of unawareness, of unknowing.
Right. Right.
What I always fall back on is something that Richard Bach put in his book Illusions. He said, there's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. We seek out problems because we need the gifts. And this is a huge problem. There's a huge gift for everybody.
Right.
But you have to take it. You have to, get off of whatever mental set you used to think it was a problem and start looking for the presence.
Right.
Ned and I kind of went the same route with that idea, but I like where Regina and Sean are taking us, and I want to, expand my mind to what you're saying. First, Regina, can you please give me the excerpt in Seth Speaks that you read so I can read it again later and really get it?
Sure, that was in Seth Speaks, session 580.
580, thank you. But go on with what Regina and Sean, you were really, I think we need to look at. So please continue.
Yeah. Well, for me, I understand that I'm part of that I'm co-creating along with the rest of the world, and it still just frightens me that this is actually part of what I'm experiencing. I'll say it that way. And I know that there has to be a good reason for it in the end. I think that Seth says something that usually epidemics happen as a result of failed social change. When a big social change has failed, that people will often resort to epidemics as a mass social protest. And I feel like I'm part of it. I don't want to be a part of it that dies. I don't want to die. Seth also says that no death comes unbidden. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as well, to help lift me out of my fear and I feel almost like I'm cut in half. Part of me knows that if I don't want to die, I won't. I just have to have the strong in me is running around, washing my hands and sanitizing everything I can sanitize, So I feel cut in half in a way. But I do know which half that I should be leaning toward. I know which half I should be embracing.
Well, what Shara said before, that we're not going back to the normal that we used to know. I think what you pinpointed, Sean, is, and why that's so, is that huge numbers of ways in which we've been behaving as a planet, as a people, worldwide, have caused destruction in so many levels of reality. I mean, physical destruction, literal destruction, just a disruption of harmony and co-living with other creatures, with destruction of habitats, of just huge numbers of things that are what I think of as the old paradigm. And that's breaking apart now because of this crisis, this incredible pandemic. Nobody's untouched by it. Right. So for the first time, we are experiencing this worldwide recognition, whether we face it or not, that we cannot continue in the old ways. And Seth speaks of this starting in, I think it's session 802 in mass events, how what we do eventually reaches, he doesn't say it this way, but it's something like this. We reach a tipping point where either we change or he didn't say destroy ourselves, but he meant we stop. We just stop. And unless we recognize it, and it goes back to raising that frequency. So your fear and your recognition have to exist simultaneously, because you're looking at the situation in a new way. You're also drawn by the old paradigm. And there's no surprise that we all feel that on moments. It's like blinking in and out. Seth speaks of reality as a blinking in and out. He often talks of this, how we don't perceive that sometimes we are simply not here. and a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, and eat a unit later, we are here.
We're here as much as we're not here.
Right, right. And whatever's going on now is a reflection, I think, of our awareness and unawareness, sort of, to use that as an analogy, flickering on and off until we eventually resolve and recognize that we can sustain that higher frequency. So we're learning how to do it.
I was thinking these last days why I decided to choose personal reasons this shared probability, no? And sometimes, well, with a lot of elements in an unconscious way. And I was thinking that probably in terms of reality creation could be to go through all this pandemic and blinking in and out all the time sane, no? Without infecting myself and proving myself that I can go through difficulties in a kind of situation that never happened in this sharp way, at least in all my life. And going through it in a way that I could create my reality in the terms I wanted, no? And yeah, I was thinking about that, no? Really, it's a kind of probability that, like Sean said, well, is so strong that could horrify oneself. And also to check how OLC, the official line of consciousness, as an observer, is doing things, no? You put on the television and you receive a lot of news with where OLC is working, well, in an exaggerated way, no? With this kind of fears that are infecting ourselves all the time, and as Setians, we take care of that and we decided to put a distance or not to see it, or connecting with our own power to healing ourselves and really to be healed in every moment. And well, to observe OLC and the ways moving, that kind of stage, no, because it's an stage, well, for me, it's very interesting, no? Made me think a lot about how Seth says about the medical aspects that they create, the medical institution, as much illnesses as they care, and this kind of stuff, no? You can see very clear what Seth says about infections, pandemias, and medical systems, no? For me, it's a very interesting, and I think that in an emotional way, not just intellectual, I decided to create this probably because of the possibility to go through this with new learnings, no? About this kind of sharp situation. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
I like to come up with simple, I don't want to say aphorisms, but simple perspectives that cover a lot of ground without any real contradictions. For example, I think it's important, no responsibility at all for what someone else chooses to do with it. So, Sean, you have nothing to apologize for. Whatever people choose to include in their life because of this is their choice and no one else's. Right along with that, you have to understand that we cannot make anybody do anything, nor can we keep them from it. What we can do is make it easier or harder. So when you see someone who's making this a bad thing in their life, see what you can do to, first of all, not make it worse, and secondly, make it easier for them to get through it. And just taking those few ideas and applying them as much as you can is a huge step.
It does make me feel better, honestly. What you said, and yeah, it does. What Gabrielle, what you said made me feel better too as well.
Yeah.
You too. Mm-hmm.
Well, he gave his personal application of what I was just saying without the overview, and which is beautiful, you know, because I think we're all doing that one way or another. He just knows what he's doing. That's the big difference.
Yeah, kind of remove myself a little bit from the situation, become more of an observer, and you know, maybe I won't get so swept up in my own fears.
Well, but we're on you should talk about being in the role of, what did he call it? The witness.
Right.
Witness.
Right.
Of yourself. You know, now she's saying this, now she's doing that, now she's got her finger off. You know?
Right. I have to stop myself sometimes from thinking about the whole thing, you know.
But you know that
and so far you fall into it. Yeah.
That word witness is a really good word. And I was thinking, Sean, as you spoke, one of the things that I do now, which I didn't do initially, and I don't know if this relates for anyone or not, but I'm absolutely certain that giving 5 minutes a day in the morning, 5 minutes later, early evening to the newscast is the most that I will give it. Because
I learned that lesson the hard way. Yeah,
I want to be informed. I do not wish to enter into the operating the newscast. The other thing that was a little harder to do, just because I wasn't sure where to put my direction, was to spend more time, which I do now, thinking of, reading about the stories of people who are doing so many heroic things for the rest and benefit of the rest of us. So I spend a great deal more time reading about them, thinking about them, and thinking about what it means when they do this work. I mean, everybody from National Geographic to the medical facilities and personnel, to the grocery clerks, to the truck drivers, to nonprofit organizations working out in the field for refugees. All these people are giving. They're not going through the Seth books. They're just out there giving their time and their energy and their love and their caretaking to whoever crosses their path. And so I spend a great deal of time thinking about them and far, far little time thinking. I don't want to be ignorant of what's going on, of course not, but I spend very little time listening to it. And that changed and helped me enormously to look at the days in a very different way.
You know, I really appreciate, Regina, your approach, and I applaud you for it. But my approach is quite different. I pay a lot of attention, but I do it as a student. I'm doing it to see how people are thinking, how they are acting, how they are feeling. I want to understand. It's like I try to be an X-ray machine looking inside of what makes this tick. I've been doing this for years and years and years and years. I've just never had a chance to do it with something like this up close before. Or, you know, I mean, it could kill me. I'm the right age. You know, really. I have pre-existing conditions. That sucker hits me. You know, my life isn't worth 2 cents.
Oh,
That's
see, don't tell yourself that.
You're strong, you'll survive. In my weaker moments, I see myself that way.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And so, I mean, you know, when they talk about people who are at risk, it's like my name is the top on the list. The only thing I got going for me is I haven't hit 80 yet. I'm only 75. So, but anyway, we all are doing, I think, the right thing for ourselves in terms of our perspective. Oshara's got it her way, you got it your way, I got it my way, and you know, Gabriel's got it his way, and everybody else does too.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, collectively for this group, our belief in health must be strong enough because we're all healthy.
Yeah, I don't even know anybody that isn't personally.
Right. Me either. I need to take that into consideration when I start. You know,
I like that.
I want to jump in with an experience I had recently that Kate and I are both 60, and lo and behold, all the stats are saying 60 and up. You fall right.
Yeah. I'm a lot farther up than you are.
But just a couple of days ago, I started feeling things in my body that started making me think, wait a minute, am I getting something?
Oh my
The
God. I had that
intern's
experience too.
disease.
I had the same experience, but please go ahead.
It really
Me too.
was. And I
Guilty,
had
Your
to
Honor.
like ask myself, because I was like getting a strange sense in my nose.
In your chest.
Aches, but like I kind of had to rest. But really, I was thinking, something different is going on in my body. I really could be getting this. And I sat with myself and I thought, if I'm getting this, I was here at the house, not with Kate. So it's like she was safe at home and I could feel, it felt like something was coming on that was fluish, but not like I'd ever felt before. And I was feeling like my nervous system was weird. And I was getting a little mucusy, but not. And I was like, what's going on here? And I did all my Seth stuff, believe me. And I thought, well, if it is, what would I do? And the first thing I thought of is in England, the Prime Minister and a few of the other people have been diagnosed with they're having symptoms of it. Boris Johnson, and he just not ordered, but told that he should sequester at home, and he has followed orders. As the Prime Minister, he's followed orders and he has stayed home. And other people too, if you're having symptoms, stay home. The last place I would want to be if I was sick would be a hospital. So I said, okay, if I am coming down with it, I was really feeling, because like I said, I was feeling weird in my body and I could just like lay down and rest. If I'm coming down with it, what? Well, I'm not going to go see Kate again. I'll just stay here. I won't go to the hospital. This will pass. It's like I knew I'm not going to die. Kate and I both said we are the most healthy people we know.
And notice I'm here with her now.
Yeah. So it's like, I was like, what would I do?
And you're within 3 feet too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, what would I do? And I was really looking at that. If I'm sick, well, I'm not going to die. I'll blow through it. And the landlord said the strangest thing. He said, well, most people are going to recover from it. And then you'll have the immunes in your body. So that's not such a bad thing. You know, you get it, then you're immune. Great. And he framed it in such a positive light. It's like, well, I'm glad he told me that. So.
Well, my God, the guy owns Seth House, for criminy's sake. So what do you expect him to be? A paranoiac?
He should know something, huh?
Really?
So, and then though, by the next day, though, it went away, but I feel like I had a good talking to my body. I had a good talking to what would I do? And I really put myself in that framework. And then I had my thing with my body. You know, I really don't, if I'm being, every now and then you're being offered an option.
Right. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you may have been like teetering there on the edge between actually getting it and not getting it. And you had a good talk with yourself and, you know, you rejected it. And you're seeing the results of that now.
Yeah, and I said, like, thanks for the offer. No, I don't want it. And body, I don't want to do this. But, you know, sometimes there are times where I have consciously said,
oh, sure.
I want to get a flu. Then I can get out of this thing I don't want to do. We do this and we don't even admit it or realize it. But it's like I could see myself like, no, I don't want this. If it did go this way, this is how I would respond. Body,
Right.
like, oh, I don't want to do that. So it brings up again the relationship with your own body, that we're always a choice. And that I felt like worst case scenario, if I got it, I'd recover, I'd stay home, and I have lots of tea and I could just be drinking lots of hot tea all day. So I didn't freak out at the possibility of what if I did get it. I would
You expect to survive it if you did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, and then as
That,
you're going through
that
this,
expectation is what's going to keep you alive.
yeah. And she was going through this last night, then I went through, oh my God, now I'm going to be all alone and they're doing this and how am I going to know what's going on? So I went into caretaker mode. And when I fell asleep last night, I woke up this morning around 6 o'clock this morning, and I felt like I just came from another dimension where gravity was much deeper than it is here. I felt very heavy, like it was blanket over me.
Now, that's a creative answer.
Oh,
Like that.
it was amazing feeling, because I woke up with lightness. As soon as I got out of bed, I was light and I was free and I was perfectly safe. And I knew that coming back from the dream state. So Yeah, and I called her first thing this morning, and you know, I'm like, I'm coming over, because I hadn't planned on it. I had planned on not coming here because this isn't in the best neighborhood.
But yeah, so
It's choices we make.
choices,
Yes.
and we're always every day and all the information we receive, we're presented with choices. Like, how do we want to respond? Who do we want to be in this? And again,
Right.
no, I want to be well. Thanks, body, for the offer. And but
Yeah.
it's just interesting to watch the inner dialogue.
I think what Sean said just sounds magical to me when you said that for Ashara, there was that moment of feeling it and choosing what you just expanded on, Ashara, going through that and rejecting the idea that this is the time. And I think there's something magical about that. Not only that it happened, but that we can do that. That we
can do that.
That we can, this is how we live. And those choices are so conscious. And when they are, this is what happens. It's pretty wonderful.
And whether or not it actually was, ooh, I have the virus and then I made it go away, it's almost beside the point. It's like, I just wore it for a moment.
That's right. You considered the probability.
Yeah, and I just considered
and rejected it.
And I liked how it felt, how I would respond. And it's like, okay, I'm fine. And it took away a lot of fear that seems to be coming at us. Oh, the big unknown is coming at you. And I'm like, well, actually, if the big unknown got me, I'd be okay.
You did. You literally went through that extraordinary process of entering other probabilities that Seth describes. I know we do it all the time, but that's a concrete example of going through it. It's really
going through it consciously, not on autopilot.
Yeah.
I think that's the big deal.
That makes sense.
Because I've been through that, I don't know how many times in the last 40 years. And, but I've stopped sharing it with people who are not Sethies, which is practically everybody. And because every time I tell us my favorite stories about how I dodged the bullet, they say, boy, you sure were lucky. No, luck has nothing to do with it, you moron.
You had a choice. You made the
choice.
In 1976, I dematerialized a Chevrolet for 3 days to get myself to pick up the loose ends of my half-finished book and finish it. And within 5 minutes after I started writing the book, the telephone rang and it was the police saying my car had materialized me out of gas on a country road 25 miles away.
Wow.
Nobody saw anybody take it. Everybody thinks it was stolen. I dematerialized the damn thing, and I knew it the moment that I surrendered to the fact it's really gone. It didn't just like slide into a shadow. It's really gone. I thought, well, I know what this is about. Just took me 3 days.
Well, I actually meet a lot of people who don't know the Seth works, but who behave with consciousness. I don't think you have to be a Sethian to have that outlook or to behave that way. There are people who either intuitively or through other means in their life have understood their contribution to the world. They're like those nonprofit people I think of every day who, to me, they live in the Christ consciousness because they are constantly working for the betterment of the earth and all her creatures. There are a lot of people who never read. In fact, in one of the books, Seth says, do not look upon me as, I'm paraphrasing, as a guru, I am the same as you. There is nothing I am saying that is more than you already know. And I think that's true for everyone. And you don't have to read a Seth book to behave and be that way. Granted,
I think the
most
exact
of us
I give you nothing that is not already yours. I think is exactly what he said.
And to me, that means when I meet a new person, I don't care if they believe necessarily what I have to say, if it's in the Sethian framework. I recognize not everybody is looking in that direction, but they might be seeing what I'm talking about in a completely different way. That is through another channel of perception that comes to the same end, that comes to the same purpose, that has the same vision, that has the same caring, that raises the frequency. Seth is a means for so many of us to reach that point, but it's not the only way. It's just an incredibly profound way for us to discover it. So when I meet someone, I'll tell those stories. If they don't understand them, I don't necessarily think it's because that they don't know Seth's stuff. I think sometimes it could be the way I phrase it. It could be my timing in telling them. It could be discernment, which is one of my favorite words, of who I select to tell these stories to, because not everybody will be receptive. But there's no hierarchy about that. That's all I wanted to say.
I'm laughing because of how many times I have told somebody expecting them to spit up on it, and they look at me like I just told them I drank a cup of coffee. Well, like, yeah, so they never heard of Seth. It's just the way they are, you know?
And I think that the magic of life and the miracles of life is not exclusive or denied anyone. And no matter what person's background or where they live, or miracles and magic is for everyone. And people who you would never expect to be into this stuff have had those experiences. And they don't, and they're some of the most precious experiences of anyone's life when they happen. And I've heard some of the best stories from atheists when they say that really blew my atheism right out of the water when that happened.
I'm still waiting for that one. Oh boy, I got something to look forward to.
And so I think that this all that is, or entity or whatever, knows when to present us with challenging or miraculous or just beautiful experiences that just stop us in our tracks and make us changes. That gets us thinking along new lines. And it has nothing to do with whatever religion or faith or science or whatever. This stuff's for everyone. And then we need to take time to incorporate it into our worldview or do whatever it is we want to do with it. Or it could set people on a completely different path. Some people go on to talk about the experiences, but some people really do keep it close to their heart and maybe never share it with anyone, but they know it's there. They know it's there and they know it's real. So I think everybody has beautiful secrets inside them. They may not feel like they want to share because they're so profoundly personal. But from what I gather, everyone has a piece of the puzzle. And if we could just all bring our pieces together, we'd have such a beautiful painting of what life and reality is. Dea, were you waving just then?
Yeah,
You're muted.
sorry,
There you
sorry.
go.
I was waving at my husband. He just came out of the room. Sorry, go ahead.
Wait.
So let me tell you, we've got 14 people watching over on Facebook, and they are loving the conversation. So let's.
All right, all right.
We're on the stage, and now we've got people who are like applauding, apparently. So
it's kind of like a panel discussion.
It is kind of, and
with an audience.
There's like a 2 to 3 minute lag, so I'm watching and I'm kind of doing the typing over here and trying to participate here as well. So it's interesting.
A little happy little geek brain right there. It's like two computers. This is her idea of like a great life. You know, it's 2 computers and it's working.
Oh, ain't magic wonderful?
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. It's like, I think magic touches us all, regardless of what we believe. Just tell us there's more than we had believed before. So, yeah.
More to the point, Arthur C. Clarke had a wonderful expression. He said, any sufficiently evolved technology is indistinguishable from magic. When you hand Abe Lincoln a cell phone, it's magic. I'm sorry.
Are there more experiences, personal experiences with current events going on and our health and well-being and our collective creativity that you guys want to talk about, or are there other things in your lives or other Seth book ahas? Wide open for what we can talk about. And what What time is it? It's 5:18. So we can go on another hour. So keep it coming, guys. Our audience is liking us. So
Yeah.
now we have a duty to keep our audience, liking this. So get to work, guys.
Yeah, we can shout out here. Yoli Walsh is on, Gary Glidden, Teresa Sweetwood, Viclina, I don't know how to say your last name, Jordanova. Petra is on. She was on last week.
You guys are watching us. You should be here in the ring with us. Come on.
Yeah.
They said they're happy to just listen.
All right.
So,
There he is.
Maureen Roy. Trying to catch everybody that's on. I think that's everybody I can see right now.
Wow.
Oh, Christopher is a local medium here in Elmira, and Christopher is on and gave us 2 hearts. Woohoo! Thanks, Christopher. You'll see that in just about 2 minutes.
We're getting great ratings.
We are.
We're good.
So they're all passengers and we're the crew.
Where are we going to fly this to?
I don't know, man. I thought you knew. We could just make something up,
And love and life.
Pretend we're in a 40s movie. Let's put on a show. We'll redecorate the barn. And
Mickey Rooney. Here we are. Okay, so let's do this right, guys. We're a Seth show now.
Well, I'd like to bring something up that Kate and I talked about on a chat recently. I had the idea of, everybody's been talking about, in this case, really brief versions of their story about meeting Seth. But I had the idea to compile a book composed of people's stories about how Seth came into their life and what changes it made. And just collect a bunch of them and publish them.
Oh, that'd be great.
It would be interesting.
Comments? Volunteers?
Subjects of his book? Anyone?
Yeah, sure. I'm taking names, by the way.
Yeah, I know when I found Seth, I was a really
very quiet
young person, and it changed my life. I got my mind right because of Seth. I was 21, and I was scrambled and depressed, unhappy, and reading Seth, it was the excitement of, oh my God, I'm changing my mind. I'm feeling better. I can create what I want, really? And just mind-blowing things. I mean, yeah, you create your own reality really was a mind blower. It's like, then I noticed all these things about why am I telling, I need God's permission. I can't, it was like, I realized all these strange beliefs that held me back and put me in a little box. And one by one, I was able to just, wait a minute, this is, that one really does unlock a lot of stuff when you really meditate with it, really take it to heart and start watching everything drop away. So it changed my inner world and my outer world, gave me inner peace within months. I couldn't believe the transformation. So that, I guess that's part of the kind of story you're looking for the book of Seth.
A more expanded and detailed version.
Yeah.
That's the right story. You just gave me the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah.
Because you could write that in a half a page. It wouldn't make much of a book. What was that, Kate?
Good reviews for your book idea by Val Charlotte. She thinks it's a great idea. Oh my God, this is fun.
So, I only told you part of the idea. The other part of the idea is we sell the books to support the Seth House.
Woohoo!
Did I mention that to you, Kate, when I was talking about it?
And to help other people be inspired to do Seth.
I read your story and it was wonderful.
Yeah, that was probably a little longer than most people's story would be, but I didn't write it to be included in an anthology. I wrote it as my story, Actually, I excerpted that from a longer version that didn't just include the Seth introduction.
Well,
but yeah, I'm thrilled to death with what I wrote down there in terms of the fact that it even happened and the way it happened. I mean, the Reader's Digest version is I came out of a political paranoia of the Watergate years, and just I went from this to this in 20 seconds when I opened up Seth Speaks. Was it Gabriel was talking about how the first few pages, he knew he had something in his hands that he'd opened a door that's never going to close again. You know, and I had that same experience, only it was even more powerful than that. It was breathtaking, to say the least. And I've talked to some other people in this group that they had a similar breathtaking watershed event. That's what I called the story, is watershed. And Gabriel?
Yeah, no, in my case, I wanted to comment you that, well, my inner self, in a kind of magical approach, really presented me Seth in a way that is unbelievable. No? I was 26 years old. I went to Kathmandu to study Tibetan Buddhism. And I was taking breakfast with a woman that had a very personal story. And through that breakfast, the story she had there was unbelievable. And through that breakfast, it made me know aspects of theocracy, that is the way the political aspect in Tibetan Buddhism. And I began to feel some distance from some aspects, not of the teaching at that moment, but really about the structure of what I was studying. And also she presented me, the last day she was in Kathmandu, she told me, hey, did you read Jane Roberts? I will give you a couple of titles of books for you to read. And
That'd be a great story to include in the book.
No, and in the same way, in a bookstore in Kathmandu, very little one, I found 3 books. Nature of Personal Reality, Seth Speaks, and Seth Material. That were my first 3 books. No?
Yeah.
But the story was amazing. Really, my inner self pushed me to, well, that probably to everyone, no? To know Seth in a moment in my life that really would change everything.
Well, I would love to read your story.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I mean, in a well thought out, edited, you know, style where it was really very readable. Not that it's hard to listen to, but you know, when you talk, you leave things out that you think later, God, I wish I'd said that, you know. And I've talked to so many people that have so many different stories, and they're all just wonderful.
Well, one friend was in a bookstore, and one book fell down over his head, and he knew that because of that. Our inner self, I think that look for a way to know good aspects of life.
I have to say that my earliest experiences when I first started reading the material were a lot like yours, Ned, in that I was amazed at what I was reading, so much so to the point where I could only read a certain amount before I would literally have to put the book down and just try to absorb what it is I just read. And because of that, it took me quite a while to read through all the material, but it was just so transformative and so expansive. First time
I knew so many people that had the exact same experience you're talking about. Sometimes they couldn't even finish a chapter, let alone read 2.
Exactly.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, gonna sit down and read a bunch of Seths today. 1 sentence would be enough to just.
Yeah, you're gone. Yeah. You're gone for who knows how long.
For sure. To go sit down and think about this.
Now, this will tell you a lot about me. I read it cover to cover in 1 sitting. And I think I read most of the other ones. But the 3rd or 4th book, and I started breaking it up to maybe 2 or 3 days, you know.
Okay.
But those first few, I mean, Seth Speaks and Nature of Personal Reality were just,
Mhm,
24. I
mhm.
just read it, and I'm not a fast reader. I mean, it took me a long time to read it cover to cover at one sitting, but I
Right.
did. I
Mhm.
couldn't get enough. I've been waiting a long time. I've been waiting 30 years for that sucker to come up, you know. I was about to wait another 30 seconds if I didn't have to, and I didn't have to.
Right. I remember having periods where like certain concepts would completely blow me away. When I think it may have been in Seth Speaks or the Seth Material. It may have been I'm pretty sure it was one of the earlier books. When he said that we're all telepathic and we don't just receive information telepathically, we transmit information telepathically. And so when
Constantly.
you're constantly, right. So that means when I'm sitting in the room with my husband or anybody, they can literally hear what I'm thinking and I can hear what they're thinking. Maybe not the words themselves, but you get impressions from people that are so pure and so true, like tones. And I just could never think the same after realizing, other people hear what I'm thinking, So it kind of made me realize, well, I have a responsibility then. Not just to myself, but to
Gabriel said something about having the feeling that he already knew it. There was an expression that used to go around during the human potential movement. People would say, I knew that. I always knew that. Why didn't I know I knew that? Does that ring any bells?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Got some noise in the back. We get some noise, Audrey, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Pop back in, let us know. Yeah, the telepathy thing, that's a constant. He's saying like we couldn't speak with words unless telepathy was part of the communication anyway. Right. And he's like, this reality couldn't run without telepathy. It's so natural because we're all a part of each other. And I guess part of the telepathy isn't necessarily even the, who we're choosing. Like right now we could mute or unmute, to send telepathy or not send telepathy. We're just always radiating.
Exactly.
Different people's stations is necessary, but there's an automatic about it, that we're always radiating, we're always broadcasting, we're a 24-hour broadcast network, and so it's everybody. So we get vibes from people, just standing at a light with other pedestrians, we're like, I don't want to stand too close to this person. Oh, or just, I get such a nice vibe over here, or whatever. Just, you walk into a house and you can feel energies in a house. So he's like letting us know. The thing is too, when we all grew up, people actually made fun of stuff like that. Telepathy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're making it up. There's nothing psychic. There's all there is this little box of reality. And if you try to think outside, you're just like, oh, you're into that weird stuff. But Seth is saying the weird stuff really is the foundation of what reality is. That connectivity, that constant communication, psychic, telepathy. It used to be more ridiculed way back when, but now it's like people, especially people who keep having these experiences, you can't make them go away. This really is part of the basis of consciousness itself. How could we be living in a place that says it's not real when it's really the foundation of who we are and how we interconnect? Telepathy.
Yeah, it's that from which our reality springs.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Constantly.
We are all intuitive. If we paid more attention to it, we'd get more benefit out of it, and we would be acting that way more often, and we could, as far as developing it goes, it's just being aware, I'm feeling, I'm receiving. This is natural. Yes, let's let it in. Help me be more intuitive about choices I make and how I interact with people. Utilize our consciousness to the utmost, and that includes our telepathy.
There's a much bigger picture that this is part of, and I would like to take this opportunity to, I could go on for hours, but I'll try to keep it as short as I can. Prior to the advent of human consciousness that remotely resembles what we know it as, we had animals. There were animals.
Could I interrupt just for a moment, really quickly? And it will be quick because I think my bird is getting restless.
Uh-oh.
And I don't want that to interrupt you. But I was just thinking with what Oshara just said, just a little continuation there of, and also your earlier experience of probability, and something else that Sean said was, I write stories and books and so forth, and I wrote a story recently, which I didn't realize how Sethian it was till I was done. It's all about character who started to go out the front door, changed her mind. I won't go into the whole story, but didn't go out the front door at that point in time. And of course, then went out the front door 5 minutes later and realized the entire world was different 5 minutes previous to what it was, what she was looking at now. The cars going by, the wind, the leaves that were blowing in the wind, every single element of it was different, was changed, altered. And the point of the story was that if she'd waited another 5 minutes, of course, if she'd waited a fraction of a second, it would all be different, every single moment. So that, which is why we never know what our lives are or what has comprised them unless we're looking back, because the path in front of us is filled with probabilities, and when we look back, we see the probabilities we accepted. But the magic of the day is that, do I open that door? Do I open it now? Do I open it in a minute? Do I never go through it again? It's just marvelous. And when I wrote the story and I was done with it, I said, oh, isn't that interesting? And it was a couple of hours before I said, oh, isn't that Seth at work, you know? So that was
I want to read that.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, I've got some stories there not so different from that. But I would like to continue with what I was starting to say, because I think it's important.
I want to, can I respond to what Regina said, and then we'll get right back to you because it's burning in my head. It's that I always had this weird thing about time and timing. I could make myself so nuts about time and timing. And did I do the wrong thing? Should I have waited? Should I have done it sooner? Seth helped me with beliefs about that too. But just what you're saying, like it's a different world every moment. I live on to-do lists. I mean, oh my God, I have to write everything down, and I have to, like, the little check mark. I don't just write them. I also have a plan book. I also make my own thing on the computer.
She has a clip book in every room.
I have a clip. How many clipboards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 clipboards in this room right now, not including what's in my purse and in my computer bag. I have to have paper and pen with me all the time. Every thought gets written down. I'm a writer too. I've been a writer since I was a young teenage girl. I have written everything. Anyway, I have. But so I have boxes and boxes and boxes of writings and plans and to-dos in a storage unit in California. One of these days I got to get out there and get all my old to-do lists back and all my books and poems and screenplays and writings. But just to respond to what you're saying, part of what was difficult in my mind was getting mad at myself if I was like, should I do this now? Or I was trying to do something right now and something happened and I got derailed. I'm thinking, oh my God, maybe I lost the moment. Maybe I didn't meet the right person at the right time. Maybe I should have gotten this done by Thursday. So this is one of the ways I work myself up, and I brought the wisdom of Seth in to try to, like, stop beating myself up and just like, can I trust time? Can I trust the nature of my life unfolding naturally, that however I step in to my days, to my life, to my interactions with others, I can trust that it's going to be the beautiful flow for the highest good. And if something does delay me, good, that needed to be there. If I face a detour sign, or if I had an unpleasant experience with something I thought was going to go good, step back. That needs to be energetically released and addressed, and I can learn. And that was part of the trusting that the universe and I am unfolding just right in space and time to trust it. And therefore, I'm kind of creating that reality. You know?
That says to trust in the nature of your own being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That could probably be part of that.
Yeah, go on with that. And trusting, more trust is
right.
how I am interacting with the universe, and that it's a higher good, and it's going to be okay. Calm down. Has anybody else got things along those lines? Because this was like so many years. I still deal with that. Like, I don't want to make a mistake. Did I do the wrong thing? If I blow it? And
may I make a suggestion about that? The whole thing is based on fear of what would happen if you didn't do that. Okay? So the question is, what are you afraid of? And what are the beliefs that require you to fear it?
And I guess everybody has to look at those, and that was exactly the process and the procedure I had to do. And so
Yeah.
that's like, as with many of us, we have ongoing beliefs to look at. If we're feeling emotions that we're not comfortable with, oh goody, I am being given a sign from within. I have something I get to heal, to cure, to work through so that doesn't happen again. So that and other things, it's like, stop, pause, go within. What is my thinking and my beliefs? And I can see them, you know, and I can see that it comes from an infinite place. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to make sure that I do things that are right for everyone. And so there's like such an anxiety about being perfect or being just right or saying the right thing. And it's like, I think even like going as far as like that when I was play acting with, well, what if I'm sick? It's like, what's the worst thing? Okay, if I say the wrong thing, well, I'm learning to say the right thing. If I do the wrong thing, well, that's never happened on this planet before. This is a place, a playground, if you will, for experimenting with things. And yeah, we're going to do things and feel like it went right, it went wrong. I can do it better next time. You know, it's like being an artist, but you have an infinite collection of paper. It's like if the poem didn't work out this time, here's another piece of paper and there's plenty of ink in the pen. Keep practicing your creative art of living. These are the, you know, Seth has helped me with that inward journey of trusting my life and creating and healing and all that goes into it. So you guys getting a sense of that too, as far as like your creations? The most beautiful creation of all, he said, is just the art of self-creation. You know,
right. You are your most intimate creation. Right. Yeah.
Any thoughts along those lines?
Seems to me like you pretty much said it all.
Oh.
No, really. I mean, I can't think of any you left out.
Well, according to Seth, this is the system to do that, no? Because between the what you think and the materialization of that thought, there is a gap in time that allow you, if you do not like what you thought and you feel that the materialization will not be according your wishes, you could change. But in higher states of consciousness, in another systems, the materialization, like in the one that Liv said, is immediately. You just think and then you create at the same time. And well, we would have a lot of problems if I go there without any preparation. No? You see now with this pandemic, no? That we would have a lot of problems, really. We have to learn first, no? To go there.
Unfortunately, one of them is sitting in the Oval Office right now.
Well, and yeah, it's like, as you were saying that, Gabriel, I was having that thought of, you know, every moment that we say, yes, it's good we're on a time delay. It's good we're not practicing all the power we have in this moment. Because, you know, sometimes we're imagining all kinds of scenes that we wouldn't want to have manifested physically. So I'm really glad we have a user-friendly reality that's like, okay, she's having these thoughts, give her a chance to think again.
Miriam on Facebook says to be kind to yourself. when you don't exactly get something done when you'd like to get it done or when you think you need to get it done. But just be kind and easy with ourselves.
I think that's one of the secrets of life.
It is.
Is just be good to you. I mean, be easy on yourself.
And the poor Facebook people, they think that you're good to each other. So Shara.
Glad you asked.
This is Kate.
Should we switch? Kate. Do they have any questions from our listening audience? Oh, I feel just like a radio announcer. Are there any questions from the listening audience?
Well, let's see. Miriam is like laughing hysterically with tears coming down her face at Ned's Oval Office comment.
How come you haven't been reading these things as we went along, or are they just starting to happen?
Or do you have any questions for our listening audience? Anybody with any questions for anyone? We have all the answers. Seth keeps telling us this. We're all these answer machines are sitting here bringing our brilliance and our universal connection together. So throw out a question and it will be answered in many different ways, but all of the answers will be right.
He did give all the answers. He talked about every conceivable subject, yes, and touched upon everything and didn't give us really any answers, just ways to find ourselves, guidance as to where to go and how to find.
Oh, Seth answered questions I could never possibly have asked. You know, he was just saying, here's what reality is, and I had no idea. I never had a clue. Some of the things he said never would have dawned on me in a lifetime if he hadn't said them without even asking the questions. But I think something in humanity was crying out for the answers that Seth brought to us. And that's why we have all these wonderful books. More questions?
Well, Michelle Gray has said, maybe your mistakes, harm to others, or wrong timing has more to do with what the universe has put into place or something they themselves have created as an opportunity for the other person to learn or choose their path as well. I have learned the very hard way throughout my life that people only do to you what you allow. We make the choice to be empowered or to give it away by being offended or being hurt. That's the whole point, right?
Well, I want her to go live.
I
Who
know.
said this?
This is Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle is an RN at one of our local hospitals here, and she's.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for your work.
Michelle, we love
Thank
her.
you there.
And she's on the front line. She's doing the hard work, and yeah, she's a beautiful, beautiful human being.
Well, that was beautiful, and that brings up things like creating your own reality. It's co-creation with each other. Again, it comes back to the telepathy. Again, it's like, just what she was saying. I can't squint enough to get what she was saying, but how opportunity for the other person to learn or choose their path as well. And they're giving that to me. I'm giving that to them as we play act these scenarios of trying to build something together and all the outcomes that can occur. Infinite outcomes that can occur, but again, we're learning with each other, and what a wonderful thing we've all agreed to do is to come together and learn with each other.
I would still like to try to tell my 200,000 year story in 2 minutes.
Go. Yes.
Okay. 200,000 years ago, there were no human beings. There were a lot of animals, and they all lived, as most of them still do, on instinct. And you can't change instinct. It's built in. It's like the ROM in your computer. It's there when you turn the juice on. But then some folks decided that maybe it would be fun to see what we could do if we gave ourselves a little more power to change things as we went along, to take it out of ROM and put it in RAM. And so we tried that. And we replaced some of the instincts with what we call now beliefs, which are like EEPROM, which means erasable programmable memory. In other words, it functions like ROM, except that you can change it if you know how. And that's what beliefs are, is a replacement for the instincts we gave up when we decided to do this human race experiment. Fast forward, the problem is we got too good at it. And we wound up being kill crazy, Old Testament style. Then Jesus comes along and his contemporaries, and they tried to get us off of that kill craziness. Okay, you learned how to do it, now let's learn how not to do it. And the 20th century was the turning point where we're now making it a necessity, not an option, to get off the kill crazy, to start looking at things differently. And
Are you
the
saying
crises
kill?
that we have been through.
Are you saying kill with a? Are you saying kill with a K or guilt?
Oh
with
yeah,
a K?
kill. K with a K. Yes. Right.
Sorry. Okay.
Sorry about that. Must have rented lips. Anyway, so this is what these crises are about. We're approaching a deadline where if you don't get it by now, you're in trouble. And we're converging on that deadline. We're not going to disappear or anything like that. It's just the price is going to go way, way up if we don't get it pretty soon. When you talking about pandemics and global warming and stuff like that, hey, that's nothing to be trifled with, you know. And so we're threatening ourselves more and more persistently, hoping that we will get it. And as who was it that was talking about the hate going away? She's off now, I guess. She was moved to tears by disappearing hate. She's ahead of the curve. We need to get more people like that. And so all of this is part of a 200,000 year plus process that we are reaching some really critical junctures with. That's all I wanted to say.
Fantastic. Imagine, you know the song Imagine by John Lennon?
Yeah.
Imagine putting these lyrics to it. Imagine all the people conscientiously objecting. I mean, imagine, what if all the soldiers around the world and all the presidents and prime ministers and mullahs and priests and ministers and religious people and all the power people that have all the money and the power,
they're not the problem. It's the kids with their finger around the trigger that's the problem. I don't care how many leaders you got that want to go to war. If no young man will pull the trigger on another one, it's over.
What if there was a war and nobody showed up?
No. What if you threw a war and nobody came? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I learned that from a friend of mine when I was in the Army.
Thanks, Ned.
Feel free to use that.
If that indeed happened, it would be the beginning of a new era for human consciousness, for the development of human consciousness.
Well, and that's where we're headed. We're on a collision course with it. If we can just get by this bottleneck that we're careening into, and we just can't afford to play that stupid game anymore. And you know what the turning point was? 1945, the atomic bomb.
I agree. I think that's what triggered.
They had to bomb somebody, or nobody would believe it. Right. I don't think if they hadn't dropped the bomb on Japan, I don't think anyone still would believe that it was possible.
It was possible.
That kind of destruction.
I totally agree with you.
But we've never done it since. And you look how many lunatics have had their finger near the button. And I look at like billions of people are saying, no, you will not push that button. You know. And so far, so good. And that's
we've had situations all through history where people have taken, I suppose you could say, the high road. But we've also had situations where soldiers have refused to pull the trigger.
Yep.
And I'm thinking of the remarkable Christmas.
Yes, that's the first thing I thought of. World War I. Yep.
Well, do you want to tell the story?
Oh no, you tell it.
No. It sounded like you knew the details more.
I
know is the
Americans were within shooting distance of each other, and somebody started singing Christmas carols, and the other side decided to join them in the Christmas carols, and they wound up sharing Christmas together, and then they went back to shooting each other.
No. The point that came up there was the soldiers did not want to pull the triggers. In fact, in every battle in World War I, anyway, I don't know about World War II, they discovered that less than 50% of the soldiers actually shot at another human being.
Yeah, they pulled the trigger. They just didn't aim at anybody.
They didn't want to kill.
Yep.
But during that Christmas period, which they sang Silent Night, and the enemy's the Germans on the other side, they sang it in German. The English soldiers sang it in America. Yeah, English soldiers sang it in English.
Yep.
But they had that peace for that night. And they would have stayed that way, but it was the leaders who demanded that they continue fighting.
And we have a much more recent example of that.
I'm just making the point that it is not always the soldier, the young person pulling the trigger who's defining these moments. The leaders have that responsibility. And when Charles spoke of if we could just have the leaders stop, I agree. I think if the leaders stopped, it would trickle down to everyone else. But in most cases, the likelihood is it is the soldiers who will stop first. The leaders are far too consumed with unknowing in terms of ego, in terms of power, in terms of whatever drives them. Most leaders anyway. So it's the individual action of that soldier in the field that night in World War I, which is an action repeated throughout history and since that time. But it's not lauded, it's not praised, it's not considered appropriate. And I think when we reach a time where we do what Charles suggested and we say, yes, this is appropriate, this is what we need to do, this is the only path, then we have made that transition into a higher frequency.
The modern version of that was when the Berlin Wall came down. Did you ever hear, and I wanted to ask Charles when he was talking about what he was talking about, did you ever hear the song Last Night I Had the Strangest Dream?
Sure.
Because
it's from like the 60s.
You were paraphrasing the lyrics.
Okay.
It was written by a guy, an American, 18 years old, back in the 40s. He finally moved to Canada because he wasn't welcome here anymore. And in 1989, was it the wall came down? At the end of the news broadcast at 11, they had specials at 11 o'clock every night for quite a while. And I think it was Dan Rather that was standing on top of the wall broadcasting. And at the end of his news broadcast, where they're rolling the credits, he had shown a picture of this teacher from East Germany, or East Berlin, who had brought her third graders over across the wall just because they could, you know. And while he's broadcasting, here are these East German third graders singing that song in German. Last night I had the strangest dream I've never had before. I dreamed that the whole world had put an end to war. And that just knocked me senseless. I cried like a baby for 20 minutes. It was perfect. It was so perfect. Standing 20 feet into West Berlin. Just because they could. I wish I could meet that teacher.
You know, I think when we look at what is the source of war, I don't think it's the soldiers. I think what creates war is, well, no, there's, let's go into really the nuts and bolts of what most of the wars we've had never needed to happen. But isn't it funny that the banks?
No. I'm sorry. I got to stop. You're going completely in the wrong direction, Oshara. Fear is the only thing.
Where I want to go, Ned. Let me have a comment, and then we can, you know, talk. But let me finish. Yeah, don't do that. I'm
sorry.
First
of all, I know where it goes. I'm being rude, and I'm sorry for that, but it's toxic.
Allow me the opportunity to just speak. Okay. Just simple things that maybe some other people know too and have noticed. And if you really are trying to find out, like, how do we stop war? And we just say, well, it's fear. Well, okay, let's end all conversations with, well, it's fear. Now.
No, that's not that.
Please, Ned.
You're being insulting now.
No, I am. Are you trying to cut me off? No, that's rude. No,
Well,
don't do that. Just
I'm
let
being rude, but you're being insulting.
Ned.
I'm
Ned,
sorry, I really
Ned,
am.
stop that. That's not appropriate.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't I just check out? That make everybody happy?
What are you playing?
I'm not playing anything. I just
You're trying
don't want to listen to something
Just let Ashara say what she wanted to say. That's all.
There's a little more to it than that, but let's not even go into it.
Interesting that is we're really in a collective reality. Here we are, billions of people. I think all of us can agree that we don't like war. We kind of don't want it.
That's pretty easy to agree with.
Species so often says, nobody that's drafted really wants to be doing that instead of, having the life they planned instead. So if we're collectively saying, but wait, we don't want more, what really is the nitty gritty nuts and bolts of the steps that take us into war? And I think part of it is we get lied to. And we're told, that's your enemy over there. You need to go kill them. And we're raised in an atmosphere that says, you have to serve God by killing others. God and country, here's your uniform, here's your rifle, go over there and kill them. Something's wrong here about wherever that voice is coming from wherever in society. And we grew up watching war movies. Every single one of us has seen thousands.
So what would somebody have to tell you that you'd be willing to kill somebody?
What?
What would somebody have to tell you that you would be willing to kill somebody? Anything?
That God wants you to. That you have to defend your...
No, I'm talking about you personally. What would it take for you to pull the trigger on somebody? I don't think anything could accomplish that. Do you?
No, if somebody was seriously coming at me to attack me or a loved one, yes, I would absolutely defend myself. And I have been in a situation where there was a gun pointed in my head. And
so I will refer you to the Nature of Personal Reality, where Seth takes that exact question on it. What if your life is being threatened?
I'll defend myself. I know I would. I know I did.
And he says that is something you do instead of stopping and realizing that powerful thoughts of peace would diffuse the whole thing without lifting a finger. Check it out. It's in NPR.
Okay, well,
are you using powerful thoughts for peace right now, Ned?
Not like I could be. As far as kind of war kind of that, yeah, I am, but not personal as much as I could, as much as I should, as much as I want to. And thank you for bringing that up, Regina. Kudos to you.
Posted on Facebook that the UN Secretary General has asked for all conflicts to cease while the pandemic rages.
We just created peace.
And the first thing I thought of when I saw that was what Regina was talking about with the World War I. I mean, there's no singing involved, but same thing.
I think we need to collectively look around for what is it that starts wars, really, the nuts and bolts. It isn't the innocent soldier that
May I give you my version then, my fear version?
You can see that there's an echelon.
We've lived for thousands of years, less the last century and a half, where almost the entire human race was in dire danger all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Starvation, wolf packs, natural disasters, and warfare. And we developed this ongoing mantra of fear. Now that's not so much true in reality, but we're still acting as if it were. Our beliefs and our emotions have not caught up with the reality that we're not going to die today if we don't do something to prevent it. And so it's that has to fade away, and it's not something you can flip a switch. It's a generational thing because it's a traditional thing, and we're doing it. We're getting rid of it as fast as we can. It just isn't easy, and it isn't fast. And I think things like this virus and the global warming and the other things which are drawing us together and diffusing all that fear and the anger and the hatred. I mean, people, racists, for example, they're afraid of the other guy. That's all it is. They're not. They don't want to really hurt anybody. They're just afraid that if they don't, something worse will happen. It's wrong. It's untrue. But their beliefs leave them no choice. So it's those beliefs that have to change, and nothing else will do the trick. Nothing.
Ultimately, that's why we have war. We have
Exactly.
war because we have a belief in war. You know, by whatever
We have belief
manifestation,
in the
for
need
whatever
for war.
reason.
We
Exactly.
believe in the need for war.
We believe that war is what
Yep.
we need to do to solve our problems. And until we change that belief, and it isn't a hatred for war that's going to do that. So we can hate
Love
war,
of
but
peace.
we only just create another hate.
Right on,
That won't
Sean.
end war. You know, it's not until we develop a love for peace that is more abiding than our, you know, our belief in war that we'll actually have peace.
And you can't believe in peace when you're scared out of your shorts.
And not let people talk us out of it. That we stand firm. I am here for peace. And we're going to hear voices say, but you have to defend your country. Or guilting us, listen to me, guilting us or fearing us or manipulating us into thinking we have to follow orders that go completely against what our intuition is giving us. So the thing is, we're not going to be manipulated anymore into being told, you know, here's your reasons for going and killing strangers in another land for no reason but what? Making money for some strangers at an office?
But why is money seem like a good idea? Because you're afraid you don't have enough. Enough for what? Just enough. It's a bottomless pit. It's an addiction. And you can't ever have enough. People who are in that mode can never have enough of anything to be enough.
So they need to not be in a position of power to tell us what to do. And we need to be wise enough to say, no, I'm not doing what psychopaths tell me to do anymore. Doesn't work historically and otherwise. So I think Sean was touching upon something beautiful. It's the word love, and being more love-based, and also being more rational-based, and being able to sort out what's going on and what are people saying, and I'm disagreeing with that. And to actually kind of get more of a movement together of people saying, no, we're not going to listen to bad advice that tells us to hurt another person or to conquer another country just because the media is telling us to us and the banks are dumping all the money on it. And we can start to see we're being messed with. So I think one of the other secret of life is, one is take care of yourself and be kind to yourself, and the other is don't let other people lie to you. See through lies. Don't let other people manipulate you. Love yourself enough to say, no, nobody's going to control me like that. And in a larger scale, that's what throws people into war, into bad collective decision-making on government levels. We need to be able to evaluate what good decisions are collectively, and being able to get all the facts. Because when we're being lied to, that means some facts are being hidden and we're being lied to. So we got to find the truth, the facts, what's really going on here. So it's digging for information and then evaluating the information and talking amongst ourselves to be able to all speak freely about what we're sensing, what we know, what we feel, so that that dialogue, that free and open dialogue, is what helps us collectively make those decisions. And I got an amen from the parrot. Bless you.
I agree with
Is that what that was?
Isn't it a complex thing? I mean, it's a complex thing in terms of a couple things. When we talk about war, when we talk about just everyday life, not talking about war, it's like, think about what Seth wants us to do. You know, there's like spiritual ignorance. And Seth is saying, like, wake up. Don't be ignorant. Be smart. Value yourself. Like yourself. Love yourself. Value yourself. Now do it to other people too. And it's complex, though, in terms of like the world situation and life, because of this thing called economics. We have to have like money. We have to have stuff. You need food. You need a place to live. So that's the thing. You've got like people living like survival of the fittest. I'm only taking care of me. I don't care about the other people. You've got a problem with religions, where you have religious countries like Iran, maybe, for example, where they're run by these spiritual leaders called mullahs, and they want to kill all the Jews. Israel has no right to exist, and they want nukes. Okay, so and also, I read something about how the power structure around the world with the US and other countries came to be after World War II. Trade agreements were made with other countries. And so we are like, you know, there are allies and stuff, right? And it gets like be like this big economic thing. And so now we're like protecting and helping out countries that maybe are ethically, spiritually ignorant, perhaps like Saudi Arabia. I don't know, places where they do bad things.
Now, I'm going to jump in for a second, Charles.
Please do, Oshara.
Some of the things you're saying, we all heard on the news media.
Okay.
We're told every single person in this country thinks this way about us. 100%.
Wait. I can't hear you.
So we better go over there and kill them. Now, what I mean is,
Dea checked out. She really would have something to contribute here.
What's that?
I say it's too bad Dea checked out. She'd have something to contribute here.
She's part of the world now. So,
8 years.
I think it can be just as, because we also hear that through the media, in all these other countries, they're telling them kind of terrible things about us that we might want to disagree with too if we were allowed to. You know, we don't all 300 plus million Americans want to go invade another country, send our young people or our wise people over there to get killed and to kill them. Whereas, again, we got to be very careful about information we receive when they're trying to tell us about other people who are our human family. And there's these imaginary lines on a globe, and we're being told, well, this is who those people are over there. Gotta be careful of those. But that's us. That's our whole family. They're dividing our human family up and having us kill each other. And they're lying to us. And the first thing we got to stop doing is listening to the media telling us, oh, that religion.
I forgot.
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you. Can I say something quick?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think I forgot to bring up one more really important thing in terms of the complicated, one more really important thing. It has to do with the fact of dictatorships. You know, 1.3 billion Chinese or whatever, however many there are, living in a dictatorship. An awful, awful way to live. North Korea, same thing. Iran, I'm putting down Iran. I think the Iranian people are maybe really good people, but the leadership is not.
What about America? I'm hearing bad things what's going on in America's dictatorship. Go on though.
I think that considering war, what Seth says, an important, at least for me, aspect of this is projection. All the bad things that people have deep down inside themselves, for example, sinful self, for example, blemishes that people think they have, because all the sins that the human beings did till the beginnings of humanity, and they project outside, no? For American people, the enemy is somebody outside of them, of course, because projecting it, the threat aspect of life is outside of oneself. And for the other people, they did in the same way, creating enemies. And according to what I understood, is that they speak about the projection of bad things, for example, sinful self. That idea that there is deep down ourselves something that is wrong, something that is a lack of worth about ourselves.
That is the dead center of it, Gabriel. That is the dead center.
Sorry?
I said that's the dead center you're talking about.
Yeah.
Everything grows out of that. All this craziness. And talk about a pandemic. This is a pandemic that's been running around for thousands of years. It didn't start last month. And it's behind all of it. Human beings, and this is my personal belief, I think Seth would back me up on it though, human beings come into this world with a clean slate. They love, they do not hate, they feel safe, they do not feel afraid unless they get a reason to. And then something happens in the course of their life that scares them. Sinful self is number one on the hit parade. And they start accepting these beliefs that they have to fear, they have to protect themselves, they have to protect others, they have to gorge themselves with money or food or something. And by the time they reach what is laughingly referred to as the age of reason, the die is already cast. And after that, you're in the boat that were all in at one point before we figured out what Seth was about. That gave us something to work with to dig our way out of that pit. And each of us has dug our way somewhere out of it, but not. I don't feel like I'm all the way out of it, and I rather doubt any of you are either.
Well, wait, I think I want to respond because if I recall right, Seth actually said, you do not come into this reality as a blank.
Now, as soon as I said that, I knew it was a mistake. I meant that. I didn't mean that quite literally.
No, Seth literally did say.
I did say it, but I did not mean it literally. I meant it more in the sense of we are our natural human nature is like that. Okay. Now we may come in with some baggage we bring from before we were born, or an agenda like that, but it's not intrinsic to human nature.
Well, I think we do come into this reality with a wealth of universal wisdom.
That's part of what I'm talking about. It's a very important part of what I'm talking about.
We come into this not blank but full, and with the soul of the universe is who we are, and we are dressed as an innocent baby, and then we observe and we listen and we absorb, and yeah, along the way we can get really fucked up. I know how to do that. Yeah.
Really? Gee, I thought I was the only one.
And then we can go through that beautiful process of getting unfucked up once you get a Seth book. But one thing I heard that I will repeat is that the second half of your life is to unlearn everything you learned in the first half of your life. And I think I've done that. But I'm 60 and I'm planning to live to be 120, so I'm still unlearning.
Lucky you.
But I want to tell you though, I think we're blessed. And yes, we can get confounded with this conflicting data from the outer world. But Seth keeps pointing to us and saying, that inner thing knows. That inner thing can clear this up. Listen to this inner thing. Yes, we'll admit that sometimes there seems to be a little static going on in that outer place we're interacting with. But he's right about that's that inner thing. This is where to keep the focus. If we live from that inner place, isn't it funny how we naturally go to our heart when we're trying to point to it? There's this something within us that is our compass and our guidance system and our GPS and the answers. And the more we develop that in this conflicting, confusing reality, it strengthens our souls. We're like coming to a soul gym. We're coming here to work out and build our soul muscles and be challenged, yes. And to work through those challenges to be stronger, better souls. So part of it is, yeah, we get worn out because we're working so hard. Part of it is all those emotions that come up as part of this journey. But it's the perfect journey for everyone who's here, or we wouldn't have signed up for it. Our oversoul, our entity, knew that this experience was just right. We chose to be here. And we are so enriched because of that experience. But he keeps pointing to us, the way you're going to really do that life thing is go within, go within, go within. And use that true essence of yourself to be what navigates you through life.
This is part of what I was talking about when I said that we have spent thousands of years getting scared, and now we're trying to get unscared, and it doesn't give up without a fight.
I think I gave up the fight. And now I'm not afraid.
That's the struggle you're talking about, is all the Well, I certainly have given up the virus. Not enough to wet my pants, but it's life and death for me. I can't afford to miss this one. I can't afford to I have to really not be afraid. And I think
You know what I've heard
on
this.
top of that,
I heard this wonderful thing about fear. It's great. Feel the fear, but do it anyway.
do it anyway.
And Seth said, don't deny any of your emotions. I mean, all of your emotions are important. It's like, what is our relationship with our emotions? Well, I think there's a Bonnie Raitt song that says you can't change the past, you change your relationship to the past. And we all have emotions, and we're all, you know, your best friend within. What is it? Be your own best friend. But it's like to be better at having emotions. Fear is a good thing if we use it wisely. I mean, you know, if I'm walking down the street and there's a tiger, I'm going to have a little bit of fear. Good. You know, and then that fear is going to like, wake up, pay attention. How do we respond now? I'm strong. I can, you know, whatever, you know, and I'm exaggerating a little bit with the experience, but trust your fear, trust your doubt, trust your gut, trust your instincts. All your emotions are there to serve you. You're not there to serve them. So turn that around. It's like whatever emotions you're having, if they're uncomfortable and you want to change that, follow your beliefs. Keep following your beliefs, the thoughts. What were the thoughts I was having that created this fearful situation in my mind? And how can I change that? Or how can I respond to that? If I'm sitting there having fear, maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's something I do need to respond to. Maybe I do need to, you know, act appropriately in a certain way so that I circumnavigate something getting worse. If I just respond now appropriately, I have nothing to fear. So trust all your emotions, but listen to them wisely. Don't let them run you. Just use that like, starting to feel something here. What does that mean? So again, it's just playing with what Seth is telling us about, you know, don't suppress or fight our emotions, but examine and just, you know, examine, feel, look at, and learning to control our energy is all a part of what this whole beautiful life is about.
Fear is an invitation to move into safety at a higher level.
I didn't hear that. I'm so sorry.
Fear is an invitation to move into safety at a higher level.
Okay, I like that.
And who says you got to open the invitation? You know, you can tear it up and throw it away or anything, but it's there.
Any emotion gives us something to examine. So where did that come from and where do I want it to go? So
I think the where does it come from is the most important. If you get to where it comes from, you won't have to wonder about where it goes or where you want it to go. It'll already be there.
And again, that question, like, what is the gift it's trying to give me? What is the message it's trying to give me? Okay, it's like, and listening to ourselves in a different way. Instead of like, oh, I feel this, I'm going to run away. Or I feel this, I'm going to drink a beer. Or I feel this, I'm going to waste my evening watching TV. So I feel this, let me look, let me listen. Let me change what needs to be changed. Maybe it's giving you some really good advice. You need to change your life. That's why you feel these things. And here's how you can change your life, because it can give you answers you've been running from, but need to hear like what you need to change in your life. If you fear your partner, maybe you should listen if it's trying to tell you to change your life and maybe move away from a person you're feeling threatened from rather than trying to tell yourself anything else. If you fear something going on out there, maybe you should get out of harm's way. So all your emotions are a gift to help us make our lives better. If we listen to what they're trying to tell us, don't struggle or push them away. Say, what are you trying to tell me? I'm listening now. And you can get incredible answers that you've always been looking for if you really receive the information that's trying to get through to us.
And this is why I study the news. I want to see what people are thinking instead of what you're talking about. What are they thinking instead? because that's where they have to go. They have to go from where they are in the direction that you're in. And how tall of a hill is that for them? And what paths do they have to travel to get there? And to be perfectly honest, it's not terribly encouraging. But there's nothing like a good pandemic to sharpen your game.
Yeah, I agree completely that to repress or deny our emotions is not the way at all. No?
Nope.
But in the case of the fear about this pandemic, again, I think that, for example, in my country yesterday, I heard one minister saying that the 80% of the population will get infected with this virus. And is that the official line of consciousness is so strong that determine how many people would get infected, the percentage of death, the percentage of people that would recover, and the people receive all that information and they believe and they create. And I think that in this case is an invasion of all that news that really affect the mind of people, no? That are so strong and are irremediable. The 70 to 80% of people would get infected. And in a way, it's completely crazy because you create your own reality and you would decide, or if you get infected, you can be part of the 80% of the people that practically have not feel symptoms. But the point is that they decided, apparently in a mass way, because they have statistics in which way the pandemic would move, that most of the people would get infected, and is a rock bed reality in a way, no? That, yeah.
You're so right, and they seem to be doing that. I haven't heard it that hard line as they seem to be reporting it there, but they're trying to push into people's mentality, almost like they're handing them, here's a checkbox. Which one do you want? Are you the 80% or the 20? And if you're the 80, then there's another checkbox. You're gonna,
Yeah.
And if that's your only option,
Yeah.
and there's no reporting of like Seth reporting this.
You can decide by yourself. You just have to decide in which box you will enter, you know?
It's important to understand that the only people the only people who will listen to that are people who already believed it to begin with.
And they can't
people who didn't believe it, they'll say, what is that lunatic talking about?
Yeah.
Sort of like us.
Yeah, well, but it's a mass creation and we participate in one way or another in our exact way to the mass creation, no? And in this way, we believe on that. We decided to participate in this probability, no?
Exactly, we're expected to follow orders. Okay, amongst yourselves, most of you are the 80%. Put your mind in that. It's like, how dare they? They're telling us to get sick. They're telling us this is a major.
But you didn't come in believing that already, Oshara. If you already believe what he's saying, the preacher, if you already believed it, and he says it, you're going to be saying, oh, yes, you're right, you're right, you're right. Oh, my God, you're so right. I know it's hard for you to imagine it. There are people like that, but there are billions of them.
Well, of course, we can imagine it. We're talking about it right now. Gabriel and I are saying, wow, isn't it? They're the same kind of sales pitch they give for going to war. We're going to go to war, and this age group of men has to sign up.
Yep.
Or you're not serving Jesus or your country, and you're going to be shamed for your life.
Just fill in the blanks a little differently. That's all.
In the parks you grew up with. So the first thing we have to do as just intelligent, we can think for ourselves kind of people, not even saying Sethies, but is just say, no, I don't accept that choice, that reality. No, I don't want to play this. No, that I'm being lied to out there. Again, listen to the inner world more than you listen to the mouthpieces in the outer world. It's in our individuality and in our true soul essence that we can make the right choices under these circumstances. So when we hear like a bold-faced lie and a bad choice, like that person presented, we have to rise up strongly and say, no, that's not my choice. And be very clear about the choice you are making. Your health, your wellness, those are important choices to make, and keep making those every day. My health, my wellness, my you know what all the words are that you want to choose. Use those words. Your peace, your loving nature, the person you're creating of yourself that's so precious. Don't let anybody tell you, especially those people in the media, that you only have no choice but to do what they say. That's a lie. Those are the kind of lies I mean. We have to stop listening to the lies and start listening to our soul speak to us about who we really are and what we're really capable of. Infinite potential that we have. That's what we have to tap back into. Thank you, Seth.
So Miriam just said, I'm hearing a lot about fear and control, both in general and individually. Creating your own reality and acceptance will help.
Creating your what?
Own reality.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what we're paying attention to what's happening. We're being conscious. We're doing what is expected of us, but we feel very safe. We feel that we're very healthy. And that is the reality that we're creating for ourselves.
Yeah, you create what you concentrate upon. This is the only main rule.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, I want to show you something, though. That brings up something special. We also comply with the laws. And we thought a little discussion about them. Aren't these cute?
They're adorable.
They're pink. We're lesbians with matching.
Oh, wait, tell?
You didn't know? Good news, we're a lesbian couple. Anyway, but we have cute little pink,
it's falling apart,
bandit costumes, so we can walk into any bank and.
Oh, I want to be there for that.
So, her daughter, I'm sorry, no, we don't bring up her daughter. Her daughter is very concerned about so many things. But it's going to be a law that we have to wear these. Okay, we'll wear these, but we're not going to be imprisoned by them?
Now wait,
Limited by these? We're laughing about it.
Ned did the hard work, and he figured out how many particles can they get through.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that, and I thought, this is folded 4 times, so it gives me a little better protection than just once.
I would have loved one of these as a kid when I was playing cowboys and Indians and good guys and bad guys. You know, it's like, this is a sticker. I had cap guns. That was a lot of fun as a kid. But it's like, okay, it's interesting to see what our reality is handing us. We're being told we have to have these, so let's have fun with it. But it doesn't limit me, and it doesn't bring me fear. So how do I look upon these certain things? They're cute, they're fun. And if we do go to a situation like, God, I love Dollar Tree. It's, I love the plastic flowers at Dollar Tree. So if we go to these public places, what do I think about germs? What do there are no germs, there are only thoughts. I don't know.
Yeah, you got that right.
But if we go out and we create fear in others because they don't know where we are, who we are, blah, blah, blah. If we show that we're doing the right thing and we're squashing or we're easing the fear of others.
Yeah, or we are engaging in the social courtesies. Yeah. There's something about good manners. It takes very strange shapes and forms, but I want to be a mannerly person to respect other people. And if now we're in a culture where the new manners are to wear that, I'm not going to get worked up. I'm not going to get fearful. But you know, if I do feel fearful, fine, I'll look at that and I'll see how I want to respond to those emotions. But if we go to a public place for the first time because we need to pick something up, and if it feels intuitively appropriate because of what's going on out there to wear a mask during this time, we will. And we have them. We hope we don't have to, you know, we're in Elmira, New York. We hope that doesn't happen, but just not too many hours south of here. There's a lot of collective energy there that's very, what it is, you've probably heard, New York City, but, and you know what I mean, all over the place. But so we do have them. We're going to have the courtesies that our current society is asking of us. And anyway, I guess, yeah, any thoughts about that you guys feel you want to share or feedback?
I just want to ask Kate, how many layers in your mask?
Well, there's 4, but then it's also folded in. So there's 4 layers that way. And then, so that would be almost 16, I guess, from right where the nose and mouth would be.
And they're just plain old little scarves with hair ties.
Yeah, these are just bandanas from the dollar store.
Okay, well, the example that I gave was per kale sheets, which are 2,000 threads per inch.
Exactly. So this
I'm thinking 300 there.
well, this is probably similar to that, but folded many times.
And the main thing, her fearful daughter approves.
Oh, well, there you go.
Fearful daughter is 42 and a school teacher. And
at least she won't be jam-packing you with negative images. She thinks you're safe.
She's a great gal. So we, you know, she keeps us informed too. What do we do?
Miriam says you attract what you fear. And that is true.
Well, I think we attract, there's no limits to what we can attract. And it's not just, okay, I'm afraid of $1 million. Will I attract it?
Let's try that.
Let's try it. Everyone be afraid of $1 million. Let me attract what I fear. I think.
Well, you'll bring it to you, but then it'll be just out of reach.
Or it'll have teeth. But I think I think we attract absolutely everything. We can be a choice of what we attract. So we have lots of ways of creating and attracting things using all of our resources. So I choose not to attract what I fear. And just because I made that choice, now I'm not going to attract what I fear.
I'm going to choose not to fear.
Yeah, choose not to fear and choose not to attract what we don't want.
To be more specific, choose to disconnect from the belief that says you ought to be afraid.
That you what be afraid?
That you ought to be afraid, that you have to be afraid.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Well, like Gabriel was talking about the sinful self, there's something wrong with you for being human. And at some point you say, you know what? To hell with that. I will no longer support that belief. That's crazy stuff. And mean it. Gone. If you give it lip service and still believe it, nothing happens.
Well, it's amazing how quickly we really change our beliefs, eliminate, just by noticing, just by stopping to think, just by saying, I don't want to think that way anymore. And that quickly, it is gone. Seth said that in the book. As soon as you kind of shine light on something, it's the instant cure for it. Is as soon as you see it, as soon as you realize it, it's gone. And you are a new person because you're willing to look and you're willing to change. I think the most important words, I realized this long ago, is to say, I'm wrong. That is the most limiting 2 words you have, because that's how you change your beliefs. I really believe that. I was wrong. And so many people are afraid to, or hesitant to admit they're wrong. It's the gateway to freedom to say, I was wrong. I received information that was wrong.
So people who can't admit they're wrong are actually saying, I don't want to be free.
I don't know
choose
what
not to be free.
Dialogue is on that.
Well, that's the effect it has.
But just to be willing to say, I was wrong about that. Now I'm changing that. It's so liberating to say that, or just to say that belief doesn't work for me anymore. Maybe it had its place. Maybe I just overheard a conversation when I was little and I thought that's how things were. Now I know it doesn't have to be that way for me. So liberation, freedom, it's all in our consciousness. And we have that power to change ourselves every moment of every day.
Use it or lose it.
I don't think we're going to lose anything, but we'll learn. Just keep using it. Keep using it. Seth rocks.
Well, we are at 6:36. Still live on Facebook, down to 7 viewers.
Not down. This is, well, I love what's happening here. I love that we're creating community. We're exchanging ideas passionately and heartfully. And I like that we're doing this every week. I like that now we're, it's the third time at it. It just keeps feeling like this feels good. We could be, people are listening and I'm learning. And I think we're all, it's so nice to hear people share and give their gifts. And it's all about Seth. And some of the most important things in life are what we're talking about here, life itself.
And you really can't go wrong from that basis. You can wander off the path a little bit, but you're dragged right back onto the path again. Because if you lose your way, there's all these other people that are going to bring you back. So it gives you a sense of freedom. Like, I can be a little bit wild and crazy, and if I get lost, I got backup.
I think Shara and Kate, I've said this before, but you've created a place where we can talk about Seth. And even if our interpretations, I think in many cases, any individual comment could be expanded for an hour because it's so interesting. But you've given us a way to at least start to merge ideas and thoughts about the Seth material. It's just a wonderful thing to have that opportunity. And bless you for that. Really
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is different from the Facebook group. I mean, online, the typewritten version. This is, some ways it's better, some ways it's not, but it's different. And it makes an important addition.
I want to see more of this Seth Talk all over the world. I mean, this, people coming together to talk about this. It's so important, and thank you.
And if you look at the Facebook, we've got people from Australia and China and Austria, I think, that aren't speaking with us, but they're here and they're watching and they're listening.
You talking about right now? You talking about right now?
I'm talking about right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we have people from all over.
We love you. We love you.
We love you all.
Right? Miriam said that if we really wanted to protect ourselves, we can use an unused vacuum cleaner HEPA filter. It filters out 99%. And I did hear that, but I didn't have one. So I did what I did just on the fly.
And the professional grade N95 mask that they recommend for hospitals, that only filters 95%.
Okay. All right. Well, HEPA filters are it then.
And that's the gold standard.
That'll be the next run on. There's no Purell anymore, so next thing will be HEPA.
I do find myself wondering if you can breathe through one of those things, though. I mean, the
She's
vacuum bag.
For her vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Put it across her mouth and see if she turns blue.
I just found the filter that will protect us 100% from all germs. Ready? 100% perfection from all germs, right here. Just keep your face in this book. Regina, you're going to love this. Just keep your face in this book. You will have 100% protection from all germs. See? I'm safe. I just made that up. I just was like, I am so funny.
Might be a little inconvenient, but I'm sure it's effective.
But wouldn't it be great if you hopped on a bus or a train and everybody had one of these? I mean, you just go, my people. We're all healthy here.
No Playboy, no romance novels.
No, yeah, we're all like, it's like, okay, I feel better already. Okay, I'm funny.
That's great.
You know.
Made my day, Oshara.
Maybe we can have the scarf say, you know, Seth breathes. I don't know. Seth speaks, Seth breathes, Seth laughs, Seth Talk online. Don't be muzzled.
Miriam is laughing.
Oh, good.
With tears coming down. Laughing. Anyway, you guys can look at the Facebook stuff, and I don't know if the comments, I guess they filter through, so you should be able to.
I'd still like to know if I can breathe through a vacuum cleaner bag. That's what I'd like to know. I have a feeling that they're so tight that you couldn't breathe through them.
Don't turn the vacuum on while you're wearing
Well,
it.
you put it in.
Oh, no, they're taking it out of the machine, for God's sake. Jesus.
Oh.
That's crazy. All right. Get it.
I've heard it on Facebook.
It'll suck your lungs right out.
I have to leave now, and I would love to stay to the end.
This might be the end. I think we are wrapping it up.
End, yes.
I think 2 hours and 40. Well, no, actually, we got a late start because of techno.
Because of techno stuff.
Yeah, because of the password thing.
Like the roundup time now.
But I just, I want to thank you, and I look forward to next week, and just wonderful. Just wonderful.
Regina, it's always a joy to see you.
Love seeing you here, and I want to tell people that next week we might be doing this from home instead of the Seth House, so I hope no one's offended by that.
Okay.
Well, no more feedback.
Well,
Bye-bye then.
we still have 2 computers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bless you. This has been such a joy to share this with all of you. Bless you all. Bless you all. Thank you so much.
You too.
Bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.